It seems that Perry absolutely heard Thomas attacking at least one woman, but wasn't able to confirm who it was. He backs up Ian's propensity to let anyone and everyone over to the house, and tells the cops that it was bound to end up badly eventually. If Perry can identify the girl that he saw Thomas hitting, though, it could be a massive help for the cops, as it would mean all the evidence lines up, and they can begin their search for him immediately.
Property's got the basically mixed up. If you don't take care of us, maybe we'll put it in. I'm talking to you. Maybe. Another club. That next one's up for his arrest. See, that's all you know. Should be. See, I told you talking about that. I look at this chick, the picture of each other. It's a chick that I heard in the wall say, y'all gotta help me with some money.
Perry is saying that he had heard Thomas beating the girl up, but that it was a completely different girl to the one that they were looking for. So now, there was even more reason to catch him as soon as possible, as it seems like this wasn't an isolated incident at all.
Maybe not. That's okay. Once she went to the ER, she didn't move back to the house, right? Okay. I'm thinking of another chick. Does that make sense? I'm sorry, man. Okay. This whole thing is confusing to me. I hate to be more involved in it. When two come to go, but, you know, he thinks he's a grown man now. And he is going to have. I couldn't split him up and stay at the house. I just simple. Well, we need to get this.
Perry unfortunately didn't have much else to add, so now they turn their attention to Bugsy, their surprise witness who might just have the answers they're looking for.
Take it. You might have seen or heard something that happened out there at Ian's house a couple days ago.
Honestly, I just got there today to do some laundry, so.
Well, Ian said you were out there a couple days ago whenever this incident happened. Okay. You know Thomas? The guy that's always out there with Ian and all the guys?
See him I mean, even if I was there, I didn't see none of that.
You hear any of it?
I didn't.
At first glance, it seems like Bugsy might not be as much help as they anticipated. But things can change quite quickly when a witness is told just how serious the situation is. That's why the officer decides to let her in on what happened to Sabrina, and see if that jogs her memory at all.
Originally here, because there's a girl that was with Thomas. Today, we started having complications from what Thomas and Sabrina had on facial.
Okay.
She is now deceased.
Unfortunately for the cops, this didn't change the fact that Bugsy hadn't seen anything at the house. However, she was able to give them one piece of information that could end up proving infinitely more useful than what they were hoping for initially. She gave them the address of another house Thomas was known to stay at. Inside that house is actually another one of Thomas's victims, and the police are about to discover that he's actually a serial domestic abuser. This is crucial to build a strong case against Thomas.
Good, and yourself? Good. Are we looking for Thomas? Okay. This one he's not here either? Okay. Do you know where Thomas is? We just really need to talk to him. Changed the lock. Oh, yeah? Okay. Was she battered a while back? Is that what that... Do you mind if we just make sure he's not in the house? You know? But nobody else is in this house? Uh-huh. Oh, he took her phone? When you're saying her, who are you talking about? Was she still lives here?
Yes.
Is
she hasn't had contact with him that you would know of. Pretty much all nothing to do with him. How long ago was their incident that happened?
That was yesterday. But she called me before she got changed over inbox because she's scared to her death.
It turns out this is the home of the other girl that Thomas had reportedly been beating, which, if anything, is worrying the cops even more. Since we know he's not limiting his violence to one girl, it would make sense if he's hiding out here waiting for this girl to come back home. The homeowner, however, is telling the cops that he's not here and she's not seen him for days.
Is she working? Where is she?
She's got it again. She just told us to go.
Oh, I guess it's really.
She's living out, living very escape.
Does he have any friends up here that we know of? That he hangs out with? Family?
I think that she was there.
Uh-huh.
Unless she like here.
Do you think he still has her phone?
Oh, he does. He does.
The officers continued to search every room in the house as well as the attic, but weren't able to find him anywhere. According to everyone they talked to, Thomas had gone off the grid and was nowhere to be seen. But there was still one person they hadn't talked to. The one person that they knew was acting strange from the very beginning. Ian Whalen. If anyone was going to know where he was, it was going to be Ian. So later that night, they brought him into the interrogation room for hopefully the last interview that they need in this case.
Their cameras are down, so I'm using this thing, okay? I'll thank you over the years, something. You ain't any kind of trouble, right? Not any trouble. Yeah, any idea why you might be down here?
Well, it's because of the fight, whatever, I guess that trauma.
Okay, you know anything else about it?
Remember, Ian hasn't been told any details of what actually happened yet. He doesn't know that Thomas killed Sabrina, or even that there was a physical exchange. But that's all about to change in just a few moments.
Oh, let's talk about Thomas Douglas. When last time you seen him?
Been about like a day or so.
There, so what about reference Sabrina?
About a day or so.
What happened with Sabrina and Thomas?
I just like heard the notification, like see anything, I just heard them screaming at each other up to it right along.
Were they inside your house when they did that? They were screaming? Okay. Was there anything physical going on, or were they screaming? Did you see anything physical? Did you hear anything physical? Did you hear her yelling stop or him stop or anything? No? So whatever you heard screaming and stuff, where were they at?
Like, I guess it could be like down towards the kitchen area. Oh, I heard them yelling and knocking from up there in the cave and they go, okay. You're just like, yeah, man, fine.
And what did she say?
That's it.
It's clear Ian was around when the fight happened, but it seems like he didn't realize how bad things had actually gotten. Apparently Sabrina was actually crying when he went to talk to them, but he just figured it wasn't his business and went back to sleep in his room.
You know what the fight was about?
I don't. Honestly, I've got so much stuff on the crap. Like,
What was that thing reference Sabrina?
I don't know Sabrina. Like, we're not making this up. Like,
But she was that's Thomas' girlfriend.
I don't even know that. Like, I just know that there was an altercation. Like, I don't even know if it's Sabrina, if this is in, like, I'm assuming that it was.
So that day that, remember we had it was the same shit?
You. Just you. Building your app. On base 44. Describing. And it's real. One dive leads to more times. Layer by layer. Take a hit. When you need your tools, bring them in. They just flame. Okay, take it up a notch. Create something smarter. Something powerful. Style counts, so give it your touch. Big or small. Next idea heads at 2 a.m. Of course it does. Keep building. Ask yourself, wait.
As the officer mentioned earlier, Ian has a habit of letting people that he barely knows stay at his house. But it turns out, this is a recipe for disaster. Since people know he likely won't get involved in their business, they see this property as an area out in the middle of nowhere where they can do whatever they want with no eyes on them at all. Initially, this only resulted in smaller crime. robbery or drug possession. But this time, it turned into something much more serious, and Ian is now about to find out exactly what happened.
You know, I mean, ever at the next time we don't pull out your crystal ball.
Yeah. I mean, so, yeah.
So what's up?
She's dead.
What happened?
Well, what she told us before she died was that she was getting her ass beat by Thomas over at your house in the barn with the cloth with the knife. And so whenever you heard him arguing, when he just said he was getting pretty drunk, what did you see him do?
Like, just slap her.
Well, I just couldn't figure out what. First of all, it's only baby on your house. Right. So,
Yeah. From the very beginning, cops figured he knew a little more than he was letting on. Now he knows exactly what happened, how serious it was, and what the consequences will be if he doesn't give up everything he knows. Not only will he be implicated in the crime, but if Thomas is on the property and he ends up harming an officer, that will be his fault. The question is that enough for him to turn in his friend?
we got fences on it, so is he at your house? What did he hide in your house? Like the house was trying to get up. Where did he go hide inside his world? And the house security was sort of in the corner. Where would he hide? If he's in your house, where would he be at? You don't want that problem at your house.
Like, I didn't know.
Have you seen today? Have you seen Thomas today? Tell me the truth, man.
Yeah.
Where was he at?
In the house.
Okay. Was he there when the cops got there? Just long?
Yeah. When the mistake. There.
This is Ian's ultimatum. Ian had been put in a scary position. He knew what the right thing to do was, but he was also terrified of this footage getting out. Amongst the people he hung around, he didn't want to be seen as someone untrustworthy, so he asked for the camera to be turned off and told the detectives the truth. Ian admitted that Thomas was at his house. In fact, he was hiding in the vents. Apparently, that's where he was the whole time. Now the cops knew exactly where he was, but getting to him would be no easy task. To arrest him, they'd have to try everything they could to make contact with him, or else get into the great fence with a known killer.
Right. I mean, he knows where they're at. I assume he knows where they're at. I guess. I don't know.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what the game is claiming. Is that
So, just this thing is bad. The only one logging in for an adult that I know of. When you go into the hallway, you go in back house with a blanket in the hallway, come down and
as we go in, still clear all the little areas that we go past. I don't want to get fixing it.
yeah, if you hit that bench, the downside is you'll have two rooms to clear, but in the hallway before the bed. So the last door is literally next to it.
We'll figure it out. Anybody can see something weird.
Several cops made it to the scene a few minutes earlier and have managed to locate the vents they think he's hiding inside of.
This is the Redland County Sheriff's Office. Come outside. He's not answering your
Inside. That's what we let him know if he does understand. I got this.
Yeah, so
Look right here.
what's this? We got sheriff's office at the bottom here. Come on out, man. Hands up. Way down there.
So it's like the big through the window. This.
Yeah, this is horrible. It's not if it goes down. There's no access back there.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to have this thing. He gets the bed back up. But he can do them.
The officers are right. The vent cover couldn't have been put in place from the inside, so Ian had to have helped him hide. But they'll figure out what to do about that later. Now they need to figure out a way to get Thomas out of the vents. To start with, locate his exact position, and they came up with a creative solution to do this.
He's right there.
Place order. After work. At your own pace. No stress. World of Warships is naval combat without pressure.
How far, approximately? Probably far. Just trying to see if there's a mirror kids. I got two little brothers. They go home and run a slide. And then so he gets the kid looked at it. It's too far.
It sounds far-fetched, but after pointing a phone and a torch deep into the vents, they were able to confirm precisely where Thomas was.
He was like, his neck, the jacket.
The problem was, he still wasn't responding, and they certainly didn't want to get in the vents with him. So while another group of officers checked the outside to ensure he couldn't escape, the cops tried desperately to reach out to him. But quickly, they started to get concerned about something else entirely.
And being dead?
Thomas, if you can hear me, man, answer. I know you're down there. We saw you in the pictures. Answer me. Just let me know you're okay, man. Are you okay down there?
No. Or if you would just he shouts like a little bit. Like a shout. Like no noise, nothing.
Oh. You're okay. Go ahead and tell them so that we can escape.
Thomas had been down there for hours now, possibly even days. The cops know he's there, but they haven't seen his face or any movement whatsoever. They're fearing the worst, but they still can't risk going down there with him. That's when one of the officers gets a genius idea.
You're going to look back this way. So we're going to do scan shit. Okay. In a scan? Square? Or I would we get may make it from now it's facing us. It's hands up here. It's anyway, I guess still want to cross and I would have just there too. Yeah.
They're planning to shoot pepper spray into both ends of the vents, forcing him out. If he was to stay inside, he'd end up choking and writhing in the pain the gas caused. But it turns out, this plan was so smart and terrifying to Thomas that they wouldn't even have to put this into action.
Hey, come on out, man. Dude, come on out. Somehow, it's gone. Scared. No, don't be scared about it. Come on out. You know, I understand, but nobody's gonna hurt you. Just keep them out slow. Yeah, we'll do someday. That's there it is. We'll take it off.
The concept of being stuck in the vents with the pepper spray was just too much to Thomas, and with some convincing, they were able to get him out. The ideas and tactics used in this extraction were far from textbook, but they were incredibly smart. Now they just had one more job to do: interrogate Thomas and finally figure out the truth of what happened to Sabrina.
Okay.
Haha, he's gay.
Preferably English, stick with English. We are American. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court of law. What we are here for is what happened with Sabrina. That's what holds.
There is an enormous amount of evidence against Thomas. Remember, everyone involved in the case has pointed the finger towards him, including the murder victim herself. But that doesn't mean he's not going to try and defend himself. Notably, without the presence of a lawyer, the story he chooses to go with, though, isn't the most convincing.
Okay, we talked to Sabrina. Okay, she told us what happened to her. Okay, I need you to be honest with me and tell me the truth. Will you ever expect anything?
I'm sorry.
How many times did you? Yeah, how many times did you hit her? Did you shove her down the steps for 35,000 years? Y'all get that kid together? So tell me what happened in that work.
That's what she felt. Instead of exactly arguing without going, we wanted to argue in that house.
because they didn't want to argue in the house, and Sabrina slipped and fell down some steps, causing all of her injuries.
There is an argument. Okay. They did get this with what you want to take it up. Right? You have to tell me you got this with what you want to take it up.
They were just kind of getting each other's face, but
So that the same picture in the hospital.
it was the whole that's okay.
You're able to just like basically argue for 2 days.
But
Move the cushion and shove it.
when you say push and shove, we just kind of
On the chest bump or whatever. Yeah, when was that?
that night she pushed and shoved.
Okay, so you got give us chest bump in there.
We were on argument in the house because I was going out and
Thomas is also claiming that he didn't hit her or even push her around. The worst they did was get into each other's faces and bumped each other's chests. As I'm sure you're aware,
Sorry, did you get that?
I don't want to talk about it.
That's stupid.
Don't want to talk about it.
Read? Okay.
Word it. But still, don't want to talk about it.
This is super important. With or without insurance. And when you don't want to talk, you can just turn it on. Look, maybe it's just me too.
Talk speech therapy. What is talk speech therapy? It's great to have coding tools that don't just generate code, but also help you move forward when you're building.
that's not exactly consistent with Sabrina's injuries or what she told the police. But Thomas's story gets even more unbelievable as he continues.
And then you guys go out to the ball.
even staying there, staying there, go up there.
You guys go up and do like upstairs at the bar. Is that what you said?
Stuff up there. Just have to come back down. Things are good, and then go and step.
So where was
So we can walk to their house, down the way back in the stairs, and then Thursday.
so when was the chest bump there? Big wall. When was that?
Again, we got it, they got in there, then that's what
How'd she fall down the stairs?
like we look at stepping there, it's a big ass gap between, not shut pretty good, but shit something put together.
So we talking from the top all over the bottom?
So the bottom, that's really, they're killing stuff, that we have longer.
So, not only did Thomas not have anything to do with her injuries, but when she got hurt, they'd already made up. He believes that this story has explained away why Ian will have heard shouting in the house, why they went out to the barn, and why Sabrina got such horrific injuries. This is why it's so important that detectives keep as much of the evidence as possible secret. He's constructed a story that technically covers up all the evidence that he thinks exists, and while it's not comprehensive, it would definitely make proving his guilt in a courtroom slightly harder. But it doesn't explain a huge number of other things, like how the injuries were sustained by a golf club or the drugs Sabrina said he injected her with. Both things he doesn't know the cops know about. And in fact, he was never able to explain these other things away. There was simply too much evidence for Thomas to deal with, and he chose to plead guilty at his trial. Nurses from the hospital told the jury that Thomas had initially told them she'd fallen down the stairs too. Sabrina immediately refuted this claim when she woke up. She said he'd hit her multiple times with his bare fists, struck her multiple times full force with a golf club, and had her tied up to a chair in the barn for a large amount of time while this all happened. Even worse, she said this had been going on for around a month, and for the entire time, she felt as though she had been held captive. Obviously, there wasn't much Thomas could do against this defense. He was convicted of murder, kidnapping, and resisting an officer. He was sentenced to 18 years behind bars.
Step out of the car. Man, over here. Hands up, please. Why are you doing this? Let me ask you this. What did you do to that girl? Hey, what's up there? Come down here.
your hands up, man! Blood on the wall. Yeah, this looks like dried blood.
These cops just found the bloodstains of a missing girl. Samantha Guthrie left her mother's house the previous day, never to be seen again, and her blood was just discovered on the walls of this abandoned house. The police are about to realize that this is a couple's murder house. The killers have already fled across town, hunting for their next victim.
We're going to show you 13 mind-blowing use cases for creators using the new AI Workspace 2.0 from Gensor, Silicon Valley's first AI agent unit. You can make better films and content, all while automating the tasks you don't want to do.
No idea who the next victim of the killer couple could be, and with time running out, detectives find themselves entangled in a web of multiple suspects, all tied to the abandoned murder house.
The usual is period problems. They got nothing to Not if I talk to them. They'll be all set here. They got nothing. Almost serious.
Everything started in November 2018. Mother called police worried that her daughter had vanished without a trace. It had already been more than a day since anyone had seen 18-year-old Samantha Guthrie, and the cops arrived quickly to take her mother, Joni's, statement.
Oh, what's going on? Okay, 4. Okay. Called your daughter? Okay, so what makes her visit? Right. Okay. And where was this supposed to be at? Lily. Where's Lily at? How'd you heard?
Little did this cop know, he'd become extremely familiar with Lillian Street, as it would become the site of hours and hours of investigation, and one of the most disturbing crimes to come out of the city in years. But for now, it sounds as though Samantha was murdered, or at the very least kidnapped. But nobody can be sure. All this information came over a mysterious phone call from someone they didn't even know.
What's the address again? Why would you be with her? Okay. What's that? So that's the house right there?
It turns out the house that Joni is talking about was due to be boarded up in just a few days. It's in a rough area of town and has been abandoned for months. And as Joni said, Samantha had been struggling heavily. She left home as soon as she turned 18 and instantly fell in with a bad crowd. She was often seen frequenting abandoned houses known to be used by drug abusers and criminals. She was slowly getting more distant from her family.
Yeah, Lily and address is vacant. And they often have for you. So, if any blood, yeah.
After this, Joni would give over a description of Samantha, including a distinctive butterfly tattoo on her right arm, before telling the cop one more crucial piece of information.
Okay, sure.
This wasn't a familiar name to police, and the officer still wouldn't seem to be too worried by the situation, but that would soon come to change. It's the very same evening, after publishing a missing persons report of Samantha, a lone man would come to police claiming he knew exactly what happened to her, and would lead police to launch a months-long investigation into multiple people all connected to the abandoned murder house. But before we get to that, I want to tell you about Surfshark, the sponsor of today's video. Surfshark can help you save money, secure your browsing, and even unlock way more TV shows and movies than you currently have access to. Sounds crazy, right? But it's true. If you have Netflix, Prime Video, or pretty much any other streaming platform, they limit what content you can actually view. For example, in the US, you can't watch Friends, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or Pulp Fiction on Netflix. But if you use Surfshark, you're also keeps your internet browsing safe and secure. Did you know that whoever provides you with your Wi-Fi can potentially see every website you visit? With Surfshark's VPN, all of this is hidden. Plus, many websites track your activity and will increase prices on products you frequently view or purchase. By using a VPN like Surfshark, you can avoid being tracked by any website and literally save money. And the best part, they're running a huge Black Friday sale where you can get 4 extra months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. All you need to do is head to surfshark.com/insanity or click the link in the description. Grab your Surfshark for less than a cup of coffee a month and you'll get 4 extra months for free. With that said, let's get back to the case. Back in Akron, police had just published a detailed description of Samantha. And the morning after, a very worried man would contact and claim to have details.
The song that played at my wedding, I actually made it myself with Eureka V8. I just wrote, make a romantic song for my wedding with him. In seconds, the AI created the melody, lyrics, and accompaniment. I realized the music that truly touches your heart is the one you create yourself.
That could either save her life or lead them to her body.
Alright, today is Tuesday, and we're here with, what's the first name?
John.
Alright, so we're here to talk about something that happened over on Lillian Street back in November 4. Alright, why don't you tell me about what happened that night?
John Marshall was the first of many witnesses in this case, and he got in contact with the cops after hearing that they were looking for Samantha. Apparently, he was actually at the house on the night everything happened and saw it all with his own 2 eyes. The problem is, it almost sounds too good to be true. The cops don't know Marshall and can't necessarily trust him to give a truthful statement, meaning they'll have to verify all evidence he gives over. So as Marshall talks to the cops, we'll be keeping track of each piece of information and then following how the cops investigate and verify it all in order to hopefully solve the case and find Samantha.
Stan had been trying to get a ride over to the house for a few hours. I didn't feel like driving anymore to go pick her up, so I didn't pick her up that night. And a few hours later, she
When you say the house, what's the address? Okay.
I'm guessing from what I've been told, her dad paid for her to get over there.
Okay.
This is already an easy piece of information to verify. If Samantha's dad did pay for the Uber, then he'd certainly remember that and be able to confirm it. Conveniently, the cops had interviewed her dad a few hours later, and he did indeed tell him that he bought her an Uber that night. On top of that, the address Marshall gave was also correct, so it seems that he's turning out to be trustworthy so far.
But I was walking to the Circle K to get cigarettes and a soda when I seen her and Yoshi walking to the house on Lillian. And about an hour after I got back to the house, and 45 minutes or so, Danny showed up and knocked on the back door. I answered the door.
Now, how do you know Danny?
Just in passing.
Do you know him from the house?
Yeah.
And do you know what his last name is?
Andy.
Now, things are starting to get weird. That's the name that Joni said could be the killer, and Marshall seems to know him and the people he's friends with.
Okay, was he by himself?
No, he was with Tony.
Okay.
Is what I was told her name was. And that one black guy that I had never seen before.
Okay. Do you know what he looks like?
Yeah.
What's he look like? Okay, William. Alright, what's he look like?
Tall nose, thick skin, medium.
Okay. So they came up the back door?
Yeah.
Alright, and they knocked on the door?
Yeah.
And who let them in? Okay, so you let them in, and then what happened?
They went upstairs and talked to Jody. Upstairs in Jody's room was Jody, Kim, Kate, Sam, then Danny and Tony, and William stayed downstairs.
This is incredibly useful information that Marshall is passing over. He's just given the names of 6 potential witnesses and suspects, and he seems to know them all personally. If this is all true, then Marshall could have just taken this case from no leads at all to almost too much to handle. The only thing the cops need now is verifiable information about exactly what happened to Samantha. That's when the detective asks this question, and gets much more than he bargained for.
Alright, so Sam and all them were upstairs.
Yes.
So what happened then?
I didn't hear any yelling or anything, but music was playing, and Sam came and like then got back in.
Right.
She went to the basement, and 2 or 3 minutes later, heard a little bit of commotion, and then Sam came upstairs first, and she had like a little bit of a bloody nose,
Okay.
or a busted lip, I couldn't tell. And she went back upstairs to Jody's room. Danny and Tony followed.
Like followed her or chased her?
No, followed. They
Okay.
Followed. And 10 minutes later, Sam came running down the stairs. Danny was right behind her, and by the time she got to the 4th or 5th stair down from the living room floor, he shot her in the head.
Oh.
It doesn't get much clearer than that. Apparently Samantha then fell to the ground, and the house fell into disarray. 2 men named Yoshi and William then started to order Marshall and his friends around before helping to carry Samantha's body to a vehicle. Go outside. The detective was starting to get a perfect picture of what this case really was, but there was still one burning question.
Okay, is Sam alive?
It sounded making noises, but it sounded more like death gurgles or eyes shutting down.
Okay. So she's still kind of breathing at this point.
Yeah, just back of the head, 8 to 10 inches away with a Smith & Wesson MP4.
Okay.
Sounds of it, Samantha technically survived the shot, but it wasn't looking good. If she wasn't taken to a hospital quickly, she likely wouldn't have made it, but it doesn't seem like the killers were expecting her to live. At least the cops now have a possible murder weapon, a Smith & Wesson MP40. Remember though, the cops have already searched the house and didn't find any evidence of a murder, but given the importance of this information, they decide to go back and see if they missed anything. At this point, Samantha's life hangs in the balance. If they find a single bullet casing or blood splatter, it likely means that Marshall was telling the truth and Samantha is long dead. These are the steps that Samantha was allegedly shot on. But the cops can't stop to investigate yet. Knowing how hot this house is and how many places there are for people to hide, they have to be on high alert and clear the entire place out before they can even think about letting their guard down. All 3 officers have their guns drawn and are doing their best to stick together should anybody be inside. It seems like the house is empty, but it's a complete mess. There's no obvious evidence of a murder anywhere, so it's now clear why the cops didn't find anything their first time here. How it was allegedly taken, and more importantly, that William and Yoshi had actually come back to clean up the scene. That means that any signs of the murder could be extremely difficult to find, but not impossible. In fact, you've actually already seen some evidence that proves Marshall's story to be 100% true. Take another look at the marking on this wall, right below the crack. It's a little difficult to see, but that isn't graffiti. That's Samantha Guthrie's blood. Once the cops spotted this, all fell into place. Multiple blood spatters that hadn't been cleaned up were found on the walls, as well as the bullet casings that looked similar to the bullets that the Smith & Wesson MP40 uses. Marshall was telling the truth. Danny and Tony were now wanted for murder, and they had 4 other witnesses they could use to track them down and convict them. And in fact, they wouldn't have to wait long, as police were soon called to a house where a girl claimed a couple and chased her with a gun.
Want to step outside and talk? For anything?
This is Kimberly. One of the girls that Marshall mentioned was at the house the day Samantha was shot. The owners of this home called the cops after she begged them to let her inside as she was being chased, allegedly by some others that frequent the house on Lillian Street. The cops are desperate to know what could have possibly made her this distressed, so they bring her outside to their cruiser to talk.
Safe now, okay? Explain what's going on. Who's they? What do they look like? Black and white guy. Black. Short. What was he wearing?
Black pants. A black short sleeve hoodie thing. Like had hood. His squash. I was like a hoodie.
Just one black guy?
You know, bunch of white guys.
A black and white guy?
White guys. His friend.
Whatever happened to Kimberly was clearly a blur to her, but the cops are starting to get a little concerned. Barely a couple days after Samantha's supposed death, one of the witnesses gets chased by a group of people holding guns. It could just be coincidence, albeit a terrifying one, so the cops ask her why she was in town to see if this could be related to anything else, and they get the most worrying answer possible.
So you're football, you were visiting a friend here in Egg. Where's that friend at now? Where do you want to live? What's the friend's name? What's her last name? Jody Harris? Do you know what street she's on?
That's guy.
What's that? Okay, what street do you live on? On what is it? Lillian?
Honorable Consultant, thank you for your letter. Your warnings have been taken into consideration and filed together with other highly important measures.
The only reason Kim was in town was to meet her friend Jody on Lillian Street, and she doesn't know anyone else from around here. That's when the cops come to a horrifying realization. They think Kim was just attacked because she was a witness to Samantha's supposed murder. Now, they have a terrifying situation on their hands. If they don't track down the killers and all their accomplices quickly, they could be looking at a lot more than just one murder. This case had now become a top priority, and all local officers and detectives were on high alert for any leads that could help them find even just one of the suspects. And that's when they got a potentially life-saving call. A man was claiming that Danny and Tony had pulled a gun on him inside the house, and that the suspects were now in the parking lot outside bragging about killing somebody just days earlier. Cops immediately headed to the scene, thinking this might be their chance to catch the lead suspects behind Samantha's disappearance.
Step out of the cover! Step out of the cover! Step over here! Step out of the cover! Hands up, please. Hands up, please. Where's that? Okay. Let's just put it down. Put it down. Hands on top of your head. Stay right there. Put her on. Put her on. No, I'll keep responding in a second. Give me things for weapons. Any weapons or anything. Don't reach for nothing. Give me any weapons for me. Have a seat. Stand up for me. What are you doing with your foot, man? Yes, there's anything going on. There's nothing right here. Right. Yeah. Same part. Same part right here. Okay. I'm not to do. That's no big thing. I got a bag for you. Bag of needles, son? Yes.
So far, this has been surprisingly easy. At this point, the officer had no idea it would actually be the interrogations that'd be the hardest part of this process, but he's enjoying the simplicity while it lasts. Soon, a couple more officers arrive on the scene to help search Danny and Tori, secure them, and collect some information before they're taken away for questioning.
I haven't been upstairs to talk over Vince here yet. He was in the driver's seat. She was big into the truck. She was solid. She was in the she was real fast. I said, "Put me up and she back up. You guys can tell you."
You don't have anything on your physical picture or anything like that, right? No weapons we can be aware of. Just tell me down. Loaded? There you go. I don't want to set it off. I know.
What's your, you got a gun? What's your name? Is it okay if I take your package here real quick? Yeah, we're not trying to get a call to do a gun, warrants, things like that. Come on. Oh, yeah. Oh. What is it? That?
You don't think that's any better.
Oh Lord, no! What's that? Oh, that's my murder weapon.
Eventually, the officers brought Danny and
I
Tony
would never
back to
be
the
caught
station
with some
for
peppermints.
interrogation. And this is where the hard part started for the detectives.
If I go over there, football, but I do math. Basically,
Okay, can I reach you in that feet? Yeah, right, everybody's silent. You understand this, right?
Here, it's important to note that Danny thinks he's been brought in just because of the gun incident. At this point, he is unaware that police have him and Tony as lead suspects for Samantha's disappearance. Detectives are doing this to potentially lead him into a fake story or timeline that they can prove wrong later.
You've indicated that you would talk to your lawyer?
Which one is that? I'm still on the 30.
Okay. Alright, I'm going to do about your
11 numbers. Give me my 30.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what we do about your reason to maybe get you out of here as soon as you can. How's that? While you're here, we cover at least or something.
It's all right.
You know, if we get some swabs for you?
Actually, it's all right. I'll say it. Yeah, let me say it like this. I got 11 numbers, 23 uses. I got a single. But I'm not trying to put it. I'll be upset here. I got a single.
Danny's been in this situation before, and he knows exactly what to do. At the very least, stall the detective's process for as long as possible. He's staying quiet and refusing to speak without an attorney present, as is his right. So the detectives have no other choice but to switch over to Tony and see if she will budge instead.
Yes.
Do you want to receive beautiful crystals every month without breaking the bank? I know what you're thinking. It must be too good to be true. What's the catch?
We just want your feedback on the crystals we sent you. We want to know which crystals you feel are most connected.
I'm going to get this detective first. Right. Richard Miranda, right? Okay. Okay.
Good. Okay, you understand everything? Okay. There's a girl that's missing. And we have strong reason to believe he's so, why couldn't you do it? Okay. But like I said, we have a lot of information pointing to his involvement in this girl's missing. Okay. Now that's huge. You know, if you really should, this part of training okay, and you've never seen her before, that's you.
They're deciding to be a lot more upfront with Tony and treat her not as a suspect, but more of a witness. It's likely she wouldn't confess to being involved in the murder, but they think there could be a chance that she'd turn Danny in if she thought it meant she'd get away. Fortunately, though, having been on the wrong side of the law in the past herself, she's not about to help the cops out so easily.
I'm gonna be straight with you. He's looking at some serious problems. And from what you're telling me, if you were with him that whole time in the past 3 days, which she would disappeared in the last 3 days, so if you were with him the whole time, you know what my next leap is.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Okay. Think real hard, because this is very important to what happens with you in the future. Okay?
I get that. I'm not that stupid.
Okay, hang on, hear me out. So this is not a misdemeanor crime we're investigating. We don't do that, okay? When we get involved, something bad has happened. We know some other stuff went on this weekend, specifically yesterday, Saturday night, at a house in Akron. So I don't want you to get in any trouble with something that you were just along for the ride. But if you're going to sit here and tell us you the whole time, you think you're helping him, but you're not. You're hurting yourself. Let me tell you about the house where it happened. We've talked to people that's been at the house. They were all at this house where this girl disappeared from. In fact, something bad happened to her at the house. You know how we know that? Because the guys, we've already talked to him today. We spent all day talking. And he gave us detailed accounts of what happened at that house. You have to think hard about how you want to handle this, because if you're going to sit there and watch, that can get you caught. That can get you in trouble. You have kids? Two boys? Okay. What would you do if one of those boys were missing? Okay, would you expect people to help us to find them, to locate them?
The route the detective is taking is obvious, and would work on the majority of people. He's trying to scare Tony into giving up what she knows so they can get to the bottom of things faster. If she gives Danny up, she might get a good deal with them, but if not, things could end up real badly for her. The most interesting dynamic here, though, is how the detective is trying to use Marshall's earlier statement against her. This happens all the time, but usually they're exaggerating the strength of the evidence or making it up completely. This time, though, they actually have an airtight statement, but Tony simply doesn't believe them. That means she thinks she can just continue to deny everything, and instead of taking a deal for less jail time, she can just get away with no charges. So with this in mind, watch how confidently she denies everything, unaware that the detectives know every word she speaks is a lie.
So, apparently, been looking for her all day. In short, she's very important. So from here on out, anything that based on what you're telling us, we're giving you this chance to talk to us now. Anything that in relation to her, what happened to this girl, is going to be attached to you too. Okay? So we're giving you a chance. But if you want to come for it, that's fine. Okay? It don't matter. It don't matter. We're going to do the investigation.
I was there. I don't take it in that. I just started.
We're not saying that it was every weekend. But we were saying that you never reasonably based on the little football bet. We were there.
Yes, I've never seen it.
And we have people that says that they have told us you were there.
Well, that's ridiculous. I don't know anybody really from that.
You know, actually, in addition to the people that we talked to, said that this all started because you and this girl got into some kind of altercation.
I don't know this. I've never seen this.
Like I said, once we move forward with this investigation, from what you're telling us that you're with him, you're going to be attached to whatever we do with him. You understand that, right? Okay. You sure got that clear?
I've never seen it.
So,
I don't know that busy.
you hardly even looked at it.
I looked in, and it was no good.
Well, I got to know him, so did Detective Ross. We got to know him a lot today. We spent the entire day with him. And, well, that's not important. You don't know him, so what difference?
In reality, Tony is extremely familiar with the man in the photo, as he's the man that helped load Samantha into her car. That man is Yoshi. Conveniently, Yoshi, whose real name is Dylan, had just been brought in on unrelated warrants, and detectives couldn't believe their luck. One of the main witnesses, possibly even an accomplice, had been brought right to them without any effort whatsoever. The best part, Dylan wasn't the hardened criminal they expected. In fact, his interrogation was unlike anything you've ever seen. Not only is it truly heartbreaking, but it was actually key to putting not one, not two, but 3 people behind bars for Samantha's murder.
I've got another cell call, and like now, and I can't even remember the customer's name. His name is Kevin, and my name is your name. I'm future you, the you who used to be AI sales agent.
Promise. Serious. Something bad happened. Let's have a look. So you have your own man. But yeah. And I just started 4 days ago. Promise. This is something bad.
About 5 minutes into the interview, we see an emotion painted on Dylan's face you don't often see in the interrogation room. He's holding back tears, trying to hide his face, and it's exhibiting a type of stress you rarely see in criminals. He's terrified and devastated at the same time. After all, he's just 19 years old. He shouldn't be caught up in all of this. The detective picks up on this immediately and wants to figure out precisely why Dylan feels so strongly about all this. They spend some time discussing simple details, with Dylan deflecting pretty much everything. But this whole time, the stress is building up in Dylan, and 15 minutes later, the detective notices that he's on the verge of completely breaking down, and he decides to exploit this perfectly.
We just actually do it. So, I'm doing it. So, figure out. She show us. Help us. She Hey, at a time when in your life you have to make a right decision. We need your help. She actually did. Did she? Switch. It's on her mind. She doesn't feel like the living really selfish. You will be sufficient to this. It's business. And you listen to the student. So you guys see the resources and the connection. Because we have the same house. You guys talk about hiding stuff on the phone. Yeah. It was a good love. You guys listen. You guys like she and music and kind of